Hey everybody, welcome to TIW Podcast. I'm Eric, and today I watched WWE NXT episode 561, NXT UK episode 93, SmackDown episode 1082, and 205 Live episode 179. So, obviously, that long list of shows, I've fallen a bit behind on staying up to date on the podcast, because also I need to still record my episode talking about the Survivor finale. However, I think that could be the last like really extensive episode that I do on here for a while, as I've gotten really into this. Part of the reason why I fell behind on this episode is I have been streaming on Twitch. So I'm going to start right off the bat promoting that Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TheDemonJackal. TheDemonJackal. And I am mostly playing every morning. I'm playing WWE Supercard, which I've been playing for a couple of years now. I'm not all maxed out or anything like that, so there's always progress to be made in the game for me, and it's been a lot of fun. And I've been doing it every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Savings, whatever time. So go and if you're interested in that, head over to Twitch and follow. And I'll be talking. I'll probably repeat myself a lot between the podcast and that, and vice versa. But it's a lot of fun interacting with people, because I do that live, and I don't save it. I mean, it's saved as much as it is on, as long as Twitch is okay with keeping it. It's saved on there, but I don't save a local copy of the streams or anything. So it's a lot of fun just interacting with people with in the chat primarily, and getting more and more people interested. And then once things, when people start talking to each other, that's pretty cool. Where it's like, oh, they don't even. I guess it's not really that cool. They they stop caring what I'm talking about, and they're just chatting with each other in the chat. But that's a cool thing. It's bringing people together, and they may not have ever been talking about WWE or Supercard with each other if not for the channel. So go check it out. Twitch.tv/TheDemonJackal. All right. So lots and lots of stuff. This episode of NXT I watched in two parts, because the first half, because of Survivor, the finale was the same night. And so I watched the first half of NXT, switched over to Survivor, and then afterwards watched the second half of NXT. And I wasn't really too bothered about seeing this episode live, except for what I am thankful is the opening match, because it was Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher versus Imperium, Fabian Eichner and Marcel Bartel, for the tag team championships. And Imperium won. I was really hoping that would happen. I was really excited that would happen, and it happened because Timothy Thatcher just got fed up with Matt Riddle's nonsense. I may want to use a different word. That I was going to say shenanigans, but I don't think they would really qualify as shenanigans. That seems like he's a troublemaker. I'd say he's more of a goof off. That he's not pranking so much as he's just being a real goofball. Goofball. That's another one. Another good word. It's worth noting, I think, that Byron joined Mauro Ranallo and Beth Phoenix on commentary for this week and possibly next week, however many episodes that they did. And I don't know if no, because Tom Phillips is on Raw, so I think he's been around all right. 205 Live, skipping ahead, it was Corey Graves and Byron Saxton, I think it was. if I remember correctly. Yeah, it's Graves and Saxton. And great thing about it, I recommend watching 205 Live on the WWE Network, because it's only a half hour, because it's only the 2 original matches. If you watch it on Hulu, I haven't double checked it for this episodes, but for other episodes that I've checked out on there, since the live episodes have been only a half hour, the quote unquote live, they add in highlights from Raw and SmackDown to bring it up to like 45 minutes, for television, wherever that's used for television. So I recommend checking out on the WWE Network. It's the original half-hour version that debuted on the network. But anyhow, Riddle and Thatcher get into a brawl backstage, and then Matt Riddle Skypes William Regal using Zoom, and he asks him he gets a match with Timothy Thatcher for later in the night, and that is the main event. But I'll get to that eventually. After this, we had Tegan Nox versus Indy Hartwell, and Tegan Nox won that match. Rhea is sickened that Charlotte is champion, as are many, many people, myself included a little bit, maybe. And we will get Io Shirai versus Rhea Ripley next week. That'll be great. Like I said, William Regal makes that Riddle versus Thatcher match for tonight. We had a Block A tournament match for the Cruiserweight title, interim Cruiserweight title. Tony Nese versus Jake Atlas. Jake Atlas won to bring his record to 2-1, which might knock out Drake Maverick, but it'll come down to the final match, because it's Drake Maverick versus Kushida, and Kushida has a perfect record right now. So if Drake Maverick wins, then I don't know how it works, because Jake Atlas beat Drake Maverick, but Drake Maverick will have beaten Kushida, and Kushida will have beaten Jake Atlas. So, and all 3 of them would be at 2-1, a record of 2-1. So, will they need to do a triple threat between the 3 of them to determine what's going to happen? And if so, Tony Nese is going to get involved and like mess everything up, because he'll be mad that he's the only one out of his block to get in there. So anyway, we'll find out. I have no idea how that'll be handled. They've just said it would be determined by the head-to-head record, but head-to-head record is a rock paper scissors situation if Drake Maverick wins against Kushida. Anyway, Kyle O'Reilly joins a conference call with the rest of the Undisputed Era, and he called him Dexter Lunis. He said, okay, who's going to take care of this Dexter Lunis guy? And everybody on the count of 3 says their pick, and they all say Roderick Strong. So in the near future, we're going to get to see Roderick Strong versus Dexter Lunis. Or Loonies? Maybe he said Loonies. Then we had a very weird Karrion Kross and Scarlett perfume commercial. The perfume is probably called Fall and Pray. And yeah, it was good. It was good. It wasn't as cool as their entrance last week, but for like its own thing, not bad. Dakota Kai and Raquel have a video package there, in that they say that they're in the hurt business. And business is good. I don't think they said and business is good. They said something like that, but not actually and business is good. Isaiah Swerve Scott has a lot of confidence going into his Block B match for the interim Cruiserweight title tournament. D-Generation X, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H, they have a special announcement from the control room that coming up is the 25th anniversary of the very first In Your House pay-per-view, and therefore, June 7th, is that a Sunday? Sunday, June 7th, whatever time of day it is, NXT TakeOver in your house. And they said something about being the last one or something. I don't know what that was, what that meant. But I'm excited that this is one that is occurring. It'll be great. Cameron Grimes faced off versus Finn Balor, and then it was revealed during the match, because he kind of helped Cameron Grimes win. Damian Priest was the attacker of Finn Balor a few weeks ago. Not carrying cross like it kind of seemed like it was. But this makes more sense. Even more sense. Very interesting. Then we had Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Jack Gallagher. Jack Gallagher won after Nice came out and got involved. He attacked Swerve. I forget if that was during the match or afterwards. But, it was during the match, because Jack Gallagher was kind of loving it. He's like, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. Actually, it might have been before the match even started, now that I think of it. So Jack Gallagher gets the win, ruining Isaiah Swerve's shot at being in the final, I think. Because I think that brought his record to 1-2. Maybe? I'm not sure. He definitely beat Tony Nese. No, Tony Nese is in the other block. He's in the other block. Jack Gallagher would have had a perfect bad record, but he picked up the win here. And Akira Tozawa faces off against Phantasma next week. It's Phantasma is sitting at 2-0, I think, or maybe 1-1. While Tozawa is sitting with a perfect record so far, 2-0. So we'll see if he can pull that off. Let's see. Caden Carter face off against Aaliyah. Aaliyah is trying to impress the Robert Stone brand, and by the Robert Stone brand, I mean the Robert Stone, who was there watching. And after the match, which Aaliyah lost, Aaliyah was like trying to grab on her, like, "Oh, please, let me be a part of your brand, maybe." And Robert Stone is like, "No, thank you," and like removed her hand from his arm and then was on his way. But hey, I think she has some potential in the Robert Stone brand. Maybe he'll bring in the full tag team, Vanessa Bourne and Aaliyah together. I think they work better as a team than Aaliyah does solo. And I definitely think that Aaliyah is better as a team with Vanessa Bourne than she would be with Chelsea Green. Chelsea Green does not need a partner at all. A manager, it's a great addition, especially since that manager is Robert Stone. But a tag team partner, nah. Chelsea Green, flying solo. Solo. There we go. I don't know. Then we had another Gargano family dinner talking about how Keith is nothing and that Mia Yim is pathetic and that it just makes sense that they hang out together. Next week we have Phantasma versus Tozawa, as I mentioned, Kushida versus Maverick, as I also mentioned, and Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai, as I mentioned earlier. And then our main event, Timothy Thatcher versus Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle wins via sort of roll up. It's like and then Timothy Thatcher is very angry and attacks Matt Riddle afterwards and gets him into the Fujiwara armbar. And Riddle is trying to tap out, but it's not a match. So the referee is like, well, he's not breaking a rule as far as like ending a match or whatever. So like it doesn't seem like I can force him to stop. So there you go. That was NXT. Then on NXT UK, we had 4 matches picked by NXT UK superstars. First up, we had Eddie Dennis pick Owen Hart versus Davey Boy Smith from March 3rd, 1997. this was the inaugural match for the European title, which Davey Boy Smith won. So that was a really cool match. Candy Floss picked Paige versus AJ Lee from Raw 2014, the day after WrestleMania, which I don't think I had ever actually seen the match itself, but I have seen fighting with my family. The film based on the documentary that was about Paige and her family. I forget the full name of that documentary, but fighting with my family is like the subtitle of that documentary. I forget what the rest of the title is, but yeah, actually seeing it, it was a little bit. It was a lot shorter than I thought it would be, but now the movie makes a bit more sense from what I remember, because I thought the movie was kind of strange in that part. Also, she didn't have the NXT championship with her when she did that. She was the NXT champion, NXT women's champion. They didn't even mention it in the movie. And I mean, they recreated it with the actors, including Tia Trinidad, aka Zelina Vega, who played AJ Lee, in the movie. But, yeah, so they never ever mentioned Paige being the NXT champion in the movie. It just went straight to her going to Raw and beating AJ. So, yeah. Primate picks Dave Mastiff versus Jordan Devlin from November 1st, 2019. And then, which Jordan Devlin, insane. I don't think I had seen this match before. Jordan Devlin won that match. It was crazy. And it was not unbelievable. It was unbelievable, but it was also believable. Great match. And then Trent Seven picks another amazing match. Mustache Mountain versus the Undisputed Era from June 19th, 2018, when they won. However brief this title reign was, I think it was like a week, but they won the NXT Tag Team Championships. And it was awesome. And then in the rematch, which was like the next week or like another week after that, that was there's a lot of, it was pretty notable match with how the crowd at Full Sail was just chanting Undisputed Mustache Mountain like the entire time, and it did not die down one bit, which I don't blame them at all, because that was an awesome match and both those teams are awesome. So yeah, those were the picks that were played on NXT UK this week. All right, so I'm going to skip ahead to 205 Live because it is more closely related to NXT than SmackDown these days. So if you watch on the network, like I said, it's only 25 minutes and it's the whole thing at 25 minutes is these two matches. First, we had Tyler Breeze versus Tahuti Miles. It is great to see both of these guys in action. I'm not sure if we've seen Tahuti Miles on 205 Live yet. This might have been his 205 Live debut. But Tyler Breeze won that match via the Unprettier. And then we got Tony Nese versus Jack Gallagher, the two originals who had the worst records in the Cruiserweight Championship interim whatever tournament, go up against each other, and Tony Nese still can't get a win. They're not friendly to each other, even though Tony Nese just helped Jack Gallagher finally win a match. But his whole motivation for that is because in an interview, Swerve was saying, like, if you can't even get one win in this tournament, then what are you even doing in 205 Live? What are you even doing wrestling? So Tony Nese really took offense to that. That's why he attacked him in his match against Jack Gallagher. But Jack Gallagher won via a rolling elbow, and Tony Nese can't be feeling too great about that. Before I talk about SmackDown, and speaking of SmackDown, So those were the two matches from 205 Live. Last night I watched the new Netflix film starring David Spade and Lauren Lapkus, called The Wrong Missy, and it's about it's about a middle-aged guy who's single. He recently was broken up with by his fiance. His fiance left him, and now she's with another guy, and they work together kind of, and it's all very awkward. But he's like he's trying to get back out there, trying to find true love and whatnot. And he goes on this disastrous blind date with Lauren Lapkus's character Missy. I forget what David Spade's character is called. What his character is named or called. Called is correct also. But it's a whole thing. So this movie was produced by Happy Madison, I think. I'm pretty sure that it's part of the whole Happy Madison Netflix partnership to make millions of movies for the next century. But like a lot of these movies, it's like it's very largely an excuse to go to like a really nice place to vacation. And Adam Sandler has admitted as much with what was that the movie with Drew Barrymore where they're both divorced and they have kids, and they go to a retreat thing at some resort. It's like it's totally just an excuse to go to a really nice place to hang out and have fun while you make a movie. This one is the same. His company goes on a retreat to Hawaii, and he invites another character named Melissa, which they're both named Melissa or Missy, and he gets a text from her and thinks that it's her because he met her at the airport and whatnot. And as it turns out, he was actually texting the nightmare blind date, Lauren Lapkus. But anyway, this is wrestling related because in the opening scene, and hijinks ensue, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's a really there's really bad language throughout this film. It's super crude, some really gross stuff in there. It's really stupid. It is not a movie that's safe for like anybody under the age of 30 to watch, probably. But seriously, no kids should watch this movie parents should watch the movie first. Or nobody watch the movie. But if you do want to watch the movie, don't let kids watch it. Anyway, the point is, in the opening scene, David Spade has a run-in with a guy at I forget what the catalyst for this interaction was, but he gets in kind of an argument with a guy at the bar before his blind date, and the guy at the bar is Roman Reigns. And he stands up and he's like, just towers over David Spade. He's like, oh, no, there's not a problem here. And then, like, towards the end of the blind date, Lauren Lapkus' character Missy is like, she's like yells a lot and is really crass and has like no filter at all. But she gets into a yelling match across the bar with Roman Reigns, and it's great. He's not playing himself. Let me make that clear, because towards the end of the movie, there is somebody who is playing themselves, and it kind of mirrors the beginning of the movie, but it's actually somebody being themselves, not playing a character like Roman Reigns is. Also, Jorge Garcia is in the film, which is awesome because he appears. Okay, they're flying to Hawaii. Lost was filmed in Hawaii, and also his character Jorge Garcia appears in the airplane scene, and that I didn't think about it at the time. Like, oh, this disaster is going to be turned into Lost all of a sudden. But now that I think about it, like, oh, that's a great Easter egg there. That's really fun. And gross. That whole part of the movie is gross. That whole movie is gross. Don't watch this movie. It's gross. But it's fun. It's funny. And it's gross. Don't watch it. But check it out. All right. SmackDown really quick. So the news broke before this episode aired. Actually, like a couple days before this episode aired, that Sami Zayn would not be the Intercontinental Champion anymore because he doesn't want to risk his health. From what I understand, it's because he doesn't want to wrestle during the pandemic. And so he's been stripped of the title. Instead of saying that the title is vacant, it was said about 10 times throughout this episode that the Intercontinental Championship is being held in abeyance, which is a phrase I had never heard before. But abeyance means a state of disuse or something like that. So anyway, that's why that's the name of this episode, because that also kind of describes this podcast for the last few days since I last recorded about Raw from this past week. So anyway, we open up with a Miz TV episode with Otis. Miz and Morrison try to convince him to give them the contract, but then ask what is in there aside from the contract. He said, oh, there's some Rolaids and Gas X and some bratwurst in case they get hungry later. And so Miz and Morrison, they challenge him to a tag team match, but Tucker is feeling sick or something. He's not be able to be there. And so Otis has to search for a replacement partner to take on Miz and Morrison. There's no real stipulation for the match other than just pride, I guess. Intercontinental Championship Tournament match, Elias versus Baron Corbin, in which Elias wins. After this, Otis asks Sheamus if he'll be his partner, and Sheamus says, not a chance, fella. And Mandy Rose suggests, hey, you should ask Braun Strowman. And Otis says, oh, you're a genius. Or whatever his voice sounds. The hacker appears. It's the same promo video from Money in the Bank. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same video, but played here on Fox in case people didn't get to see it at Money in the Bank. Then we have Naomi versus Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke wins, and maybe she has some momentum to go after a championship or the tag team championships if she finds a partner or whatever she does. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Then we had Charlotte appear. They said something about it's a rare time of year or 4 times a year. I don't know. I didn't understand what they were saying. But she says that people just want more Charlotte Flair, so that's why she's working all 3 brands. So Bayley and Sasha come out. They try to get Charlotte to leave, but Charlotte is very intent on getting Sasha to turn on Bayley, talking about, why are you okay with being in Bayley's shadow now? Because we were the ones who did all these firsts, all the first main events on Raw, the first main events of pay-per-views. It was you and me, not Bayley. Why are you okay with this? And Bayley wouldn't let Sasha talk. So she's creating the cracks, finding the cracks, whatever she's doing. That seems to be her only goal being here on SmackDown. And next week, we will see champion versus champion, Charlotte versus Bayley on SmackDown next week. We had a video from Sons of Anarchy, or Forgotten Sons. They said they were not welcomed back with welcome arms, and so they're going to answer with closed fists. Then we had another Intercontinental Championship Tournament match, Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. Daniel Bryan won via the heel hook, and this match was fantastic. Go watch. This is I'd say this is the must-see match of the week. And that brings us to the main event. Braun Strowman answers the call from Otis and teams up with him to fight Miz and Morrison. Braun Strowman pins Morrison after that running power slam. There's also very awkward double caterpillar. Of course, Otis's caterpillar was pristine, perfect, fantastic. Braun's was like it was kind of like a small child trying to do push-ups when they don't understand what push-ups actually are. It was that same sort of thing. But it was still really funny to watch. So there you go. Oh yeah, after the match, I'm gonna forget this. Braun Strowman was suspicious of Otis. It was just an excuse to get him out in the ring with the referee there so they could cash in that briefcase and win the title off of Braun Strowman. Otis assured him, no, I'm not going to do that. I just need a partner. I want to team up with you, all of that. So after the match, after they won, Braun Strowman had his back to Otis, and Otis had put down the briefcase, and they were starting to sneak up on Braun, and then Braun Strowman turned around, and Otis was like, no, I'm just kidding. It was just a joke. And then Mandy Rose came into the ring, and they embraced and all that, and it was all happiness from there on. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting if Otis does ever actually cash in on Braun Strowman, or if he'll cash in on the Fiend, if the Fiend gets another crack at Braun, the Fiend will get his first crack at Braun if Bray Wyatt gets another. So we'll see how all of that goes down. The main thing that I'm looking forward to on Raw this evening, I'm recording this on Monday, early Monday afternoon, but the main thing I'm looking forward to on Raw is Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Iconics for the Women's Tag Team Championships. I think there's a strong chance that the Iconics can win. They won last week in the non-title match, but a lot of times that means that then they won't win the actual title match. And in kayfabe, to explain that, I would say they're able to win, and therefore the champions were able to suss out what they were going to do to win, and now they're prepared to counteract that. So I think it does make sense most of the time if that's the case. But also only if they win because they demonstrate that they've learned the weaknesses or what to be prepared for from their previous match, which sometimes that isn't demonstrated. But anyway, all right. Well, that's it for all of last week's stuff. Let me know what you thought about all of it by tweeting me at TIW Podcast. Go to TIWpodcast.com for more reviews. If you enjoyed this episode or anything else on the site, please share some links with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, wherever you like to listen. Stay safe, healthy, and happy out there in all the infinite multiverses. And I'll see you next time here on TIW Podcast. Bye.